Hi there. So in this screencast, I want to take a look at creating a sort of master detail or sidebar main content kind of setup. And I want to look at using named outlets to do this. I see a lot of examples of taking advantage of the default application and index routes and the automatic wiring up of the application and index templates. But what I'd like to do is sort of be a little more explicit. Uh, and I guess you'll see what I mean as we go through this. So we do have an application route set up here. And what I want to do is say outlet artists. So that'll be my sort of sidebar. And then I want to list out their hits. So we could call this anything, but I'm going to call this outlet hits. So I'm going to just kind of reload as I go and see if I'm introducing any errors. Not so far. And so what I will do is I will trying out this vintage mode in this Atom editor, and it looks like I don't get to yank and put. So I will use good old cut and paste. Okay, so this is going to be the artist template. And we'll leave this empty and just put an H1 and just put artist TPL. And we will call this guy the hits TPL. So let's say hits TPL. So we just want a little placeholder to ensure these guys are plopping in the way we want them to. And let's just go ahead and save that and reload. No errors. Great. So we are rendering the application default view. So we can see the logging here. And again, if you haven't seen some of the earlier videos, that's because I've basically turned on all the different log flags. So the first thing I want to do is when I go to the index page, I actually want to redirect to the artist route. But first, let's go ahead and create our router mappings. So just type this through. This resource, this artist, and we're going to nest in an artist within that. This one will be a route. And the path we'll set for this is /, and we will use, I believe it's called a data segment. In any event, that'll use the ID, and I actually, right, that'll put in the ID as if I went to artists of 1, 2, 3. So artist ID would have 1, 2, 3 there. Okay, so that looks good. And the next thing we want to do is to create our artist route and our artist route. So let's do that now. So app artist route equals a new Ember route. And we'll just extend that. And for this guy, we want to return all of our models in that list above there. So we'll return artists. An artist is this hard-coded array of artists here. And let's see what that gives us. If we reload the page, right, so it can't find the index template or view. It's rendering the application view, but it's also trying to render this default index route since we're on the index page. If we look at routes, we'll see there's an application and an index. So it can't find that because we haven't created it. But we actually want that to redirect right into artist. So what we can do is say app index route equals Ember route extend, and we simply ask that to redirect to, with a transition to our artist route. This transition to artists. So that should take care of that guy for us. And that would bring us in here. So if we just console log, if it asks for the model from this route, we know we got in there. So I'm on the index. I'm going to reload. And you see we actually didn't even do that log statement because you can see it's actually redirecting. And you see that in the URL. But that said, here's our log statement. Okay, great. So let me delete that. So we're rendering this artist route, but it's still just hitting the application template. We don't have anything actually in here. So I'm in application. All right, so there we go. But what I really want to do is when I go to the artist route, I want to render this artist template into my artist outlet. So in order to do that, I can use the callback render template. And we're just going to call this render artist. That's the template. And we're going to render that into the application template. And we're going to use the named outlet artists. So here we've got a template name artist and we have an outlet name artist. So don't be confused by the same name. I just did that out of convenience. Let's go back and look at what we're talking about. Here's the artist template, this whole section here. And here is the artist outlet, which is within the application outlet. So it's as if we're taking this whole thing and saying, hey, put it in here. But we're not going to do that, so I'll put that back. Right, so now if we go to index, I believe this should render, but we don't have actually anything going on in here. So let's put something, actually we do, we have this artist template, so it's not working quite yet. Oh, I misnamed the outlet. Duh. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Welcome to the world of debugging. So the next thing we want to do is actually render something useful in there. So we'll take out our little debugging template, and now what we want to do is, well, let's go back here and look at what we're actually dealing with. We hit the artist route and we return our array of artists, which is all of this stuff, right? So essentially we want to loop through here and create a sidebar with links. So in order to do that, we will, well, I'm going to go into kind of coding mode here, but basically I'm going to loop through each model. I'm going to try to pound this out. Try to keep this video from getting too insanely long. So the section class is sidebar. We'll close that off and give it a label of artists. And I did pre-style this earlier, so hopefully some styles will just kick in and it'll magically look tolerable. So now here's the magic. We're going to go ahead and loop through each one of our models. And I like to generally close off my tags, whether they're handlebars or HTML tags, just so I don't forget. And we're going to wrap all of this in a LI. And in here, we want to use the link to helper that Ember gives us. And we want to link to our artist.artist. If we look at the Ember tab here, it actually gives us a clue what that route is. So this is the route we want to hit, right? I'm highlighting it here. We want to go to artists and artist ID. So that's going to look something like this. Okay, so we want to specify that here, and we're in a loop and we've got an individual model now, so this will point to that particular model, and then Ember will magically gift us a link there. This just closes it off. So one time through, the link will look like a link to here, the next time through it'll be to here, and so on. And if you're from a Rails background, that'll look very familiar to you. Okay, so we've got our sidebar going, and these are some styles I put together before. But if you see, as I click these, the URL changes. So what we want to happen now is, as we navigate to these, the content should plop in.